I would like our three guest panelists to please come forward with their name placards, please, and we'll have you sit here at the table. We're going to have those who have been involved for a period of time, those who are relatively new, and then we'll see what they have to tell us. Wherever you'd like to sit.
This will probably pick you up. Just you don't have to move the microphone. Just leave it there.
And while they're doing that, there's still food available if anyone would like. Cookies, whatever, or brownies, whatever the case might be. Well, we've had these three individuals introduce themselves initially, but I'd like to go ahead and start with Leanne. If you can tell us a little bit about your role and where you are right now.
Okay. Again, I'm Leanne Curtis, and I'm in the Topeka area. I was the chapter president from during calendar year 11 and 12. We did a number of activities during that time, at least one a month in that period of time, and got really tired. I mean, to be real honest, and I believe we could have sustained better than we did, but the chapter kind of waned at that point, and now we're ready to rejuvenate and go forward. I'm also serving on the board of the Alumni Association now, and enjoying that very much.
And you're turning leadership over to
You want to stand up? To Larry Molstrom, and he's graciously volunteered, and we're going to make that transition and work together with Ed and Amy in the Topeka area to be able to build a strong chapter and go forward.
Absolutely, and Ed has background in Colorado as far as chapter and chapter officers and has served in a number of other roles for us, so we're very glad you're there. Miss Darcy, please share with us.
I'm Darcy Timbrink, and I am the chapter president for the Kansas City area chapter, and have been in this role probably about 9 months now. So I am surrounded by lots of great people. If they would stand up, my chapter volunteers and board members. We have Ashley and Jason and Pam and Kim. Who else is here from Kansas City? And the great thing that I found about stepping into this role is just the ability to reconnect with alumni from the past and reach out to some of my sorority sisters that I haven't talked to in a long time. And I've really tried to engage new people to get involved, and I think that just by asking them to volunteer or take on one little task here and there, it really starts driving the momentum of your chapter. So, and I'm fortunate to have such a great group of people to work with to come up with new ideas and keep things rolling in Kansas City.
Okay. Mr. Brown.
My name is Eric Brown. I'm the Smoky Hill, or Smoky Valley, see, that's how new we are. Smoky Valley chapter president. We had just gotten started in the last 3 or 4 months, so we're going through the challenge of revitalizing after a couple of years from the last leadership group. So it's been unique, it's been fun. One of the things that I get to do as my day job is I work for the chamber in Salina on the workforce development side. So this is something, getting connected with Fort Hays and trying to create a larger footprint in Salina and those surrounding counties to get the graduates into Salina is something that's I get to do it as a personal side and then also as my work. So it's been very beneficial for me. And I have the pleasure of working with my wife, Danielle. She has stepped forward to help me with the chapter as well. And then we also have Leo Lake. So he's been a great resource for us, and we'll be going forward as well.
Thank you. Okay, Darcy, next question. Share with us probably your best event that you've done so far since you've been in leadership. Most successful.
Most successful. Well, I think probably the Sporting KC event was one of our most successful. What I liked about the Sporting KC event is it brought out families to the event so that we can get some of the younger kids seeing what Fort Hays is all about and get them excited about potentially thinking about going to Fort Hays State. We met at the Legends at Backfire Barbecue for a pregame event. We had probably about 95 people show up for that activity, and then we went over to the game and they won, and we were all seated in the same section. And you probably can see on your books that we have a picture of all of us that was taken after the game. So that was just a really great event. We had to fine tune it a little bit this year. Last year when they did it, we had tickets that were in a different section, so the price range was a little bit higher, or quite a bit higher. It kind of restricted some families from coming out just because of the cost of bringing out maybe a family of 4 was getting a little bit high. So this year we did more of a general admission seating, brought the ticket price down, and then found that our numbers grew very fast by doing so. So I think that's something that will continue going into the future. Soccer is huge in Kansas City, so it's good for us.
Eric, I know you're new, but can you share with us your good side or a good event, best side event since you started?
So far we've had 2 events, well I guess 3 if we count the SRP earlier this year. But our first event, our kickoff event, held it at the Chamber. We had about 30 that showed up for it. And Dr. Acock came out from the alumni board, gave a quick presentation. Deborah. So we had about 30, 35 that came to that event. That was very good, kind of set the stage of what we're trying to do, set the vision of this chapter and where we want to go with it. And then it was last week we had the media tour stop, a social, at the Art Center, the Salina Art Center. They were gracious enough to open the doors. We had another 30 somewhere in there that came to that event. So I feel like, you know, and just looking over the materials that were given today, Saline County, I mean, we have over 1,000 chapter members, or not chapter members, but Fort Hays alum. And then the other counties, you know, there's well over 1,200 folks. There's quite a significant footprint. But one of the things that I'm learning quickly, and it's been good for me to be in this role, is part of through the Chamber is volunteer leadership. I get to help with many community organizations, and we thrive on volunteers. And so it's been very helpful for me to kind of use my experience with that to get those folks that are community champions, have some connection to Fort Hays, whether they're a graduate or whether they employ people. One of the big ones in Salina is Kennedy & Co. They love Fort Hays State graduates. There's a ton of them there. And so I'm able to use that, leverage that relationship to a certain extent now, and going forward I know I definitely will. So it's been fun to try to find more connections. One of the things that I try to do is think about things in 6 degrees of, you've heard 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. You can tie back to Kevin Bacon movies, any actor across the spectrum in 6 moves. I don't know if anyone's ever been able to prove that false, but in our community, it's the same thing with my chamber, the chamber president. In 6 moves, I can have him back to anyone in the community. I'm sure with Dr. Hammond, you can just sitting there, you can tie back to anyone in the state, maybe farther out that you know. So it's all about making those connections and how we can leverage them to, you know, push Fort Hays forward in the future. And I think it's an exciting time.
Absolutely. Leanne, successful or good events coming out of your chapter?
In the Topeka area, associating an event with an athletic event seems to bring out the crowds, assuming that success is the crowd. We've done a tailgate before the Washburn-Fort Hays game the last 2 times they've played in Topeka, and had really good crowds at both of those. We usually do something before the basketball game there as well and get good crowds again for those events. But a little bit different twist maybe would be, we did a game night where people were able to bring their children or whomever, and in that particular event we didn't have a huge crowd, 20 or less, but people talked more at that event than in any other one that we've had. I think there was more interaction. When I call those folks to ask if they'd want to donate to the student recognition program or whatever, they're more likely to say yes than other folks. And so I think you want to think about a variety of different things and maybe success in different ways, because sometimes making those connections, much like you're saying though too, but maybe in a different way, in a smaller group sometimes, or in a way where people interact more. You know, there were people playing cards and people playing Scrabble and whatever else around the room, but an interesting interaction, different than the others.
Very good. Eric, let's start with you again. What problems, if any, have you encountered since taking over as a chapter leader? Ooh, I have Andy's phone. There you are. I thought you left, Andy. Sorry.
Problems, one of the volunteer leadership. I mean, it is what it is. And I think that's just anywhere across the board is getting people to make those connections, and then once they are connected, getting them to show up and do the work and help. So that's been a challenge. You always get a lot of yeses, and I think sometimes people say yes to put it on their resume or to use it for whatever reason they choose. But volunteer leadership has been difficult. The other one that's been difficult for me, and this is probably just part of where I work, is we call someone regarding an event and they automatically think we want money, or the chamber wants money, or Fort Hays State wants money, or whatever it is. So that barrier of just kind of breaking that down and saying, no, I'm not calling for any type of money. We're not trying to be an arm of the foundation, but we want to just make those connections. So that's been difficult to overcome to a certain extent. But those two really are probably the two most that I've encountered so far.
Darcy?
Well, we cover a very large geographic area, and I think that for us, if we plan, say, a happy hour in Overland Park in South Kansas City, and you live up north or in Lee Summit, people are like, I'm not going to drive to that. So we try to look at hosting events that are kind of in different venues throughout the city, so you might capture new people, from those areas. That is probably a different situation than some of you may have out in western Kansas. But so that's kind of one thing that we have to face, is getting people to drive to our event if it's a ways away. I guess, and even if you plan for everything, we had a situation with a event at a restaurant where we had 45 people sign up to come out to a happy hour, and I called and made them aware that we were going to have a large group come and make sure they were ready for us. The manager still gave us a waitress that had only been waitressing for 3 days, and everybody pays individually, and it was just a big mess. So people got really upset, and now we're looking at new venues for our happy hours. But as much as you plan, some things can go wrong, so you just have to kind of be flexible and all that good stuff. So.
And needless to say, I understand the young lady is no longer employed. She had tendered her resignation.
Yeah, she tendered it that night.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so she's done.
Yeah. So we pulled in the manager, and he said she had already quit.
So she had
So it was
a bad night as
interesting.
well.
She had a really bad night. But
Okay, Leanne.
I think just that challenge of sustaining people that want to be involved, and I don't even know if it's want. I think have the time to be able to commit, because I think people want to be involved and they want to do things, but when it comes right down to, well, this is what we need right now, there's all those competing things in their lives that cause them not to be able to say yes and to help with things. So I think that was I would call it a frustration.
Which also helps when you look at your chapters and have your officers and those that are moving through the rank. Definitely get folks, not just one person in charge, and then all of a sudden they get burned out and your chapter is over. The other thing is, as far as volunteer committees, make sure you reach out to those individuals to also have everyone help. I know that a number of chapters have taken different events and they've broken it down that way, and that has seemed to work for some of them. One person be totally in charge, but still reporting and communicating with all of those involved. So definitely reach out. What I'd like to do before we go on, does anyone have any questions for them? Has anyone else encountered problems, experienced success, things that you've encountered in any way? Dennis?
I'd like to ask them, what can we do as a chapter development committee or an alumni association to further your mission or vision, and how can we do that? How can we help?
Panelists?
I just talked. Let's see. And we've talked some about this already, but maybe just, I think the information that we got today is more refined than what we've had in the past. I think that change in the council president versus county president, I think that's a real plus. My role was council president before, and that was frustrating to try and do multiple counties and do events. I think that's a real plus. You know, a lot of those changes I think have already been made from the committee work that you've done, Dennis, with your group. Otherwise, you know, the support that we've gotten has always been fantastic, really. You know, emails out, you know, all those kinds of things from the Alumni Association. Charlene and Deborah and everyone else have always been there to help in anything that we've ever asked for. So I don't know that there's a whole lot more. One of the things that I think we've been kind of working on is, and as part of that committee, is to try and define what an active chapter is, you know, so that people kind of have some benchmarks, you know, as you're out there trying to do it, what is it that's expected? Because I think sometimes that either keeps you from wanting to do it because you're afraid it's too big, or just in direction. So maybe some of that definition would be helpful for chapters.
Can I add to that, Dennis? My sister kind of volunteered me to help be our president of our chapter. So, you know, when I first came into it, I had no clue what it meant to be president of, you know, of our chapter and of our area. So I felt, you know, and it's taken me, what, I think it's almost been 2 years to get to this, to have the proper training and the proper, you know, so I felt it would have been more beneficial probably back 2 years ago when my sister graciously volunteered me to have more training and more, not support, because I would not say I would not have support, but a layout of what is expected of, you know, the chapter president or the vice president, and just more training. I felt like I'm getting there slowly, but I would have liked to know more, and I took responsibility of that too, that I didn't get to some of the things, you know, as fast as I should have and wanted to have to.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
I have 2 questions. Darcy's at our table, so we already kind of talked about social networking. Of course, you talked about your page up there. So we want to know, with the other 2, is there any social network that has worked well for you? And then I'll ask my second question.
Our communications person wasn't as active as we would have liked them to be, and so we didn't really use it a whole lot. We had our own email distribution list in addition to the one through the Alumni Association. So we were able, if people wanted to be on that, they requested that, and we would then send them information about not events, but other things going on, or maybe planning things behind the scenes and things like that, so that we could keep the people that were a little more active informed about what was going on, and that was helpful. And I don't know if that's an authorized thing or not. I don't think we ever asked, but hopefully that was okay. And if not, jump in and say not to. But it was helpful. And it wasn't a huge group. I mean, you weren't sending that to the 1,000 people in Shawnee County or whatever. You were sending that to a few folks that wanted to be involved, maybe 30, 35 folks.
We have, the Smoky Valley chapter has a Facebook page. I think we only have 45 likes, so we really haven't, I haven't had the leadership team together enough to start pushing the communication at this point. So I can't really, from the other organizations I'm involved with, Constant Contact has been great. We use that quite a bit. And then Twitter. I mean, we use Twitter a lot through the Young Professionals Organization, the Human Resources Organization, things like that. So those are really the main ones that we use.
Another Instagram is another kind of up and coming one that we engage some of your, like, our age alumni, doing it through photo, so you get so many characters that you tag a photo with it, might help to reach maybe such people that are students, they're moving away from Facebook and Twitter somewhat, I mean, not a huge shift, but the graduates coming out next year, so we're going to be seeing that.
Absolutely.
Deborah, my second question was, Eric mentioned your efforts with the chamber. What other community partners are best for you? Churches, any other community buildings that you can utilize their resources to host events or anything?
Well, one of the things that I didn't realize is I reached out to the Salina Arts Center just because we have that relationship with them. I didn't realize that Fort Hays State has a relationship with them as well. And so they were able to donate the use of their space, which is great. And their comment was Fort Hays, the art department of Fort Hays has been amazing to us. So things like that I just wasn't aware of. The community theater, I know that the community theater has been a great partner for chamber events, different events. And I know that some of those folks there that I've looked through the roster are Fort Hays grads. So I think a lot of the things that I've done so far is just look through that main roster and start picking those apart and seeing where you can utilize, big brothers, big sisters to a certain extent. I know they work a lot in our community with the local colleges, so doing something, expanding it with Fort Hays or someone else like that would be a good way to do that as well, I think.
Mr. Ed.
I've been playing on Facebook here, trying to find the specific chapters under Fort Hays State alumni. And I know, Eric, you said you had like 24 likes. When I pull up and do a search for Fort Hays State alumni, or chapter even, the only thing I get is Fort Hays State alumni, the whole one that you guys have. Is there a way to find the specific chapters?
If you go into Fort Hays Alumni Association Facebook page, you can view their likes and they like each chapter's page. That's an easier way to do it.
And Charlene, would you have anything to add?
You know, May, at one point was my intern, she set up a lot of those when we first started the chapter system, so she knows what she's talking about, yeah. And
Is
that
there any way instead of having to go into each one specific, to be able to break them out individually? Like when you do a search, instead of finding the whole, if someone's specifically looking for, like, say, the Capitol chapter or the Kansas City chapter,
You search that name, if you need a chapter, and it should come up.
But if they don't know the chapter name, I think that's what he's saying too.
I've been having the same problem.
you're
You've been searching Fort Hays State University alumni, FHSU alumni, Fort Hays alumni, try it multiple different ways. And that's a very hard for the actual alumni association, because I think it's,
Are you wanting us to push our people through the alumni Facebook page to get to us? Maybe is the better question. And if that's the, we need to tell our constituents to go through that page to find, like you said, to the likes. So that way you can get both of them. They're not just like your original for both pages.
I would like for everyone to certainly like the main alumni page because, for a couple of reasons. First of all, the Kid Safety Vote event, or we're in Kansas City, we have people from all over the state and into Missouri and all who come for those events. And if we just posted those just on our Kansas City page, then, other folks might not see them. So we want your events to, be seen by a larger audience. So if someone happens to be in Salina, for example, they can, stop by and say hi. And plus, we have other news and things that we push out, through our Facebook page. But yes, you should be able to find all the chapter pages from our main Facebook page. But we want you all to have the flexibility to use your Facebook pages as you see fit. The other caveat that I would add to the social media business is that if you want, and this is out
know what's out there, and, you know, if there's change in leadership in the chapter or whatever, you know, at least, you know, the association has the rights to go in and add new administrators and, you know, that kind of thing.
And we can adhere to Fort Hays social media policies too, that we need to adhere to.
The official Facebook page for the Alumni Association is Fort Hays State Alumni Association. It's the university, so Fort Hays State Alumni Association is that page.
Ed?
Just me, as I'm looking at this though, I'm going to the Fort Hays State Alumni Association. That's not a big deal. But then inside that, in order for me to find specific chapters, and it might not happen, but there's 1,820 likes that I'm gonna have to go through to find the specific chapters. That's why I'm wondering, if, when you search, yes, I agree that you want everybody on your alumni association, but in order to find a specific chapter, that when you go into search, that each chapter should pop up individually too.
They would if you knew the chapter name.
But not everyone will know
But
the
not
chapter.
everyone.
And ours is difficult to find. I've found that out, so.
And it's because not a lot of people like each page, so they're not high on the search priorities when you enter them in.
Well, that might be something from a branding perspective then, is have it FHSU Alumni Chapter, Smoky Valley, FHSU Alumni Chapter, Kansas City. That way it's just right there when you put it in, or type FHSU Alumni Chapter, or however you put it in, instead of having a Smoky Valley Chapter of the Alumni Association, because yeah, it's not easy to find. I think that's maybe what you're getting at.
Yeah.
And Dennis, that could be something the committee works on too, chapter development, as far as our branding, our social branding. Other questions? Ready to get it over with, go to a football game? Again, we are here to serve you, any member of our staff. If there's folks on campus that you need, I was looking at Charlene when she was talking out art gallery and whatnot. We went one time, a number of years ago, Darcy, to the Nelson Atkins Art Gallery, and we invited Lee Powers, who was the chair of the department, gave us a personal tour. It was the best event we ever had. It was so much fun. So if there's any resources we have on our campus, we'll work to make those available to you. Megan talked in terms of training and the importance of training. It is very, very important, and if you'll notice, the Kansas City chapter has done a really good job about bringing a number of individuals here for the training, and I encourage all of you to reach out and bring more individuals with us. You know, invite them to our event, because the training is so very important from the front end all the way through. Use the chapter manual. There's a lot of information in it. The board itself has charged us to have break-even events, so we ask you to think outside of the box, whether it's a sponsorship, any type of gift in kind, minimal cost, cash bar, whatever, to keep the costs down. We will work with you in any way you can. We can. I will tell you, I have chapter boxes. We did not offer those before. We have a full comprehensive box that we'll send home with the established chapters, and we'll be working with the other chapters that are coming online to make sure you get that. It has got contact information. It has got all the brochures. It's got a flag. It's got all types of things, giveaways. And what our intent is to upgrade that each year, and we'll provide the supplies for you. Also, in terms of follow-up, make sure and let us know how the event went. Can we do any critiques? Can we assist you with that? And make sure and recommend each other within your chapter and itself as far as volunteer of the year. Strive to be the chapter of the year next year, earn that $500. I know I brought up the t-shirts and someone asked about the money. I talked about legacy. How does that money go back? First year we awarded 15, I believe. The second year, 13 different scholarships for students and helping them meet their educational dreams. That's what happens with that money each year, and they're also working to endow that scholarship. If you want to take part in the t-shirt project to sell those at your events, we'll work with you. But with that, I thank you all, not only on behalf of us, the university at large, my staff, again, Charlene Nichols and Suzanne Klaus, our panelists, thank you for joining us. Did everyone get a ticket? Oh, excuse me. Yes, Megan, you were given a form, a confidentiality form. If you're wanting information with your respective alums, please fill that out, give it to Suzanne Klaus. I know we've had 2 individuals that indicated they already wanted lists. We have those available to you. Okay, so we have those available to you, but my prize is in the kitchen. Sorry, but everyone got a ticket?
If we don't give something away.
Yeah, we always try to give stuff away. Interesting thing in your chapter box and stuff, just because you have an event, you don't have to give everyone a prize. One of the things we've done recently is doing more of a grand prize approach, or the ultimate gift of the day. But we, as I said, we've got hats and there's t-shirts, cups, glasses, and different things like that. Well, Charlene is getting that. And until then, are there any other questions? Yes, John Armstrong.
I just have a general comment in the admissions area on-campus recruiting. We talked about the navigation of the Fort Hays website. That's getting ready to change a little bit for the betterment of some of the issues we've gone through in the past as far as searching, finding. 2 points of interest I would give people going back, as you know, people, families, friends who have children who are looking at going on to the university at some point in time, is on our website. If you go to fhsu.edu and you click on the virtual campus tour, it's right on the home page. You can't miss it. That's something that I would definitely encourage you to know that it's there. And if you have some time at night and you're messing around on Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest for 93% of the women in America, go on that virtual campus tour. There is some great information on there, students, faculty, staff, campus videos, campus pictures, as well as there is a Fort Hays State University app that you can download already. I know we're working on one from the alumni side of things, and you can get up-to-date updates on almost any athletic event. You can pull up the schedules. There's also videos from YouTube that upload through the app. There's pictures of campus, videos of campus. If you don't have that already, just to let everyone know, that is available on an iPhone or a Droid type of app. So just a couple things to think about.
Thank you, John. John and Tricia, both hail from the admissions office. They're powerhouses. They're available to you in terms of student recruitment and any information. They have a whole legion, just a whole group that goes out on behalf of the university as far as admissions counselors. You may think of that for your chapter, actually inviting them in and sharing that. Also, I haven't specifically mentioned Jason Willoughby with the napkin on his face. A bandit. Where's the mustache? You usually have the mustache, too.
Got the mustache.
Okay. I know we talked about Jason and Jessica both. They're moving to Hays, but what I wanted to stress, Tim is gone, Tim Chapman, but Jason Willoughby is their newest employee. We've had him for a year now. He, too, is a great resource, their vice president. So please use him. And with that,
May I say one more thing?
Yes, absolutely, Charlotte.
I'm never done. One last thing that occurred to me when we were talking about students and families. If you all clearly are people, and you have lots of friends out there, if you know someone who you might be in Kansas City, but you have a friend in Wichita who might be a great chapter leader or a great chapter volunteer, please network with each other or with us to give us those names so that we can encourage their involvement as well. Think about it as the larger, alumni picture, not just in your local area. Because you all are a great resource for us, certainly.
And next year when you come back, bring more people with you.
Absolutely.
Definitely bring more people. Okay. Rich, right.
If anybody needs a Victor E. Tiger to show up at any of your functions, call Charlene.
I'll be glad to bring the students.
And that is because she was at the state fair and she was in Victor's suit.
They don't have anyone else into it.
So Charlene, step forward, very willing to do that.
And my 7-year-old was there. He thought it was the funniest thing in the world. He knew I was in it, so he just kept poking at me.
The funniest thing was when people were encircling you so that you could get it off.
That was, well, because we were trying to hide the kids from, Rich actually is great at subterfuge if you ever need help with that kind of thing. I was like, Rich, I have to put the suit on, we don't have anybody else to do it. Can you like draw everyone's attention this direction? So that I can, so we had a wall of people standing in front of me so I could change into the victor suit. And the next thing I knew, I looked up and everyone, we were in a room above the courtyard in one of the state fair buildings. And everyone's looking out the window, looking down into the courtyard. I'm like, what did he tell them, you know? And I guess it was, where's Victor? Do you see Victor out there? He's coming, yeah.
He's a great
But,
father.
so Rich was great at that. But we had little ones and I didn't want to ruin the illusion, so.
Absolutely. Today's presentation, we're going to put that up on the web, aside from being through Hayes Post and whatnot. We will, and Eagle, and we thank you very much for that.
And
We'll
a shout out to everybody who's online.
Yes, we have Tommy's in Missouri, Tommy Schwant, and then we have
David Taylor Houston.
from
Houston, I thought Houston.
just outside,
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the town, but it's right outside.
right outside in Texas. So we really appreciate that. Okay, finally, Scott. Priors of the day, you have to be present. We've had a number of people leave. 9:45. Ashley, Ashley